Today I've got my hands on the brand new Doctor Strange and Morbius double pack based on the Spider-Man 90s animated series, and I think we've got some problems with this one, like that huge chunk of plastic that Doctor Strange has got on his back.
Incredible! No! My face!
Yeah, don't worry Morbius, we'll talk about your face. Hi all, Chris here, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Hasbro double pack from Marvel Legends, which is the Doctor Strange and the Morbius, based on their appearance in the Spider-Man 90s animated series. And we'll start by taking a look at the box. Love the image on the front. I mean, it really looks like it's taken straight from the 90s cartoon. Love that Spider-Man cartoon. And I love that it's made to look like a double VHS case as well. Super retro. I love the MVL on there, like VHS, and the fact that they're numbered 1 and 2. But yeah, that front image is cool. On the side, there's just another image of Doctor Strange and Morbius and the Spider-Man logo, as there is on the top. And on the back, we've got 3D renderings of both of the figures, along with a lot of gibberish. There's a lot of legal nonsense on this box, which is a bit of a shame considering how nice the design is otherwise. But yeah, that's it. Let's get them out and start talking about this set of 2. So yeah, here we are with these figures. And I mean, at first glance, they look really nice. I mean, the Morbius especially, very much the colours look like they've come straight out of the comics. But we'll start with this Doctor Strange figure here. And if you've already owned the Comic Classics Doctor Strange that Marvel Legends released a few years ago, 2022 I think it came out, this is very similar. Like, a lot of the body is very similar, and the huge horrible plastic cape is back and prevents a lot of articulation, so I'm not a fan of that. His head sculpt looks really nice and clean, but as you might notice, it is an identical head sculpt from the Comic Classic figure, which is a little bit of a shame. And also a lot of the body and legs just seem to be repaints of that figure as well, just with far less accessories than the Comic Classic came with. Really disappointing, actually. You know, the Comic Classic version came with 3 interchangeable heads and even came with leopard print design on the gloves. I guess they're not part of the, they're not from that 90s version. But yeah, a bit of a shame. Just having a look at the spell casting hands. So I do like those. I just think this figure is really uninspiring, to be honest, especially if you already own that previous version. It already that has a nicer cape on it anyway. And we'll take a quick look at articulation here. And the head is massively restricted by the hood of the cape, which is very disappointing, but it moves slightly from side to side, and there again a little bit of a restriction, but there's a reasonable up and down on the head, which is fine really, but nothing special. So there is that. We have no movement in the upper arm at all. We do have a reasonable movement in the elbow, but it is restricted again. It's just a single joint. What's the point in putting a double joint on it? Because it can barely move. And then we have a pivot and twist in the wrists, which is fine. So the wrists move well, but everything else is being let down at the minute. Pretty good ab crunch. Nothing spectacular. For a Marvel Legends figure, that's probably only just okay. And reasonable movement backwards as well on that ab crunch. So that's fine, I suppose. Really good twist in the waist, though. Can't complain with that. That's excellent movement there. And the cape won't restrict the movement of the tops of the legs, which is good. So that top of the leg moves fine. There is also twist at the top of the leg. There is a nice double joint in the knee, which we can see moves all the way back. So that's excellent articulation there. There is a twist in the calf. And there is also movement and pivot in the ankle as well. So the lower half of Doctor Strange moves exceptionally well, if being a pretty boring and uninspiring bottom half to him, whereas the top half has serious problems with articulation and balance as well. This figure is incredibly top heavy, or back heavy I guess. It just does not want to stay up. So yeah, issues with that one. I mean, it looks nice, but it's nothing new really, no breaking new ground. And here we have the Morbius figure as well, and I like this one considerably more. Let's move Doctor Strange out of the way because he's ruining my focus. The only thing I'd say is I'm not hugely keen on Morbius's face, but we'll look at that in more detail later. Love these denim jeans. I do think this is a really, really good representation of the Morbius out of the TV series. The colouring is spectacular. And I don't know, I don't think this is the same jacket as the X-Men 97 Gambit. It does have the same markings on the collar, but I have been looking, and I think it is a slightly different jacket. A lot of the other lines on the jacket look slightly different, but I love it regardless. Really, really like this jacket. It looks excellent, and I love the rolled up sleeves to the jacket as well. They're super effective. Yeah, this head sculpt, sorry, this is a tale of two halves for this head sculpt. The face looks really bland, and I'm not sure about a lot of the sculpted detail on it, but then you move to the hair, and I mean, that looks fantastic. Again, that gives me sort of Gambit vibes, so that really over-the-top swept hair that they did for Gambit recently, and the colouring on that looks spectacular. So really, really impressed with the hair, but I'm not a huge fan of the face and the paint job on the eyes especially. But we'll look at articulation, and there is reasonable movement. You can get the head to turn 360 degrees, but the collar on that coat does give it a little bit of a resistance. There is excellent up and down movement, even with that collar. So, I mean, especially downwards. Up, there is a little bit of resistance, but in comparison to Doctor Strange, that head moves a lot better, a lot freer. So I'm quite impressed with that. And if we look at ab crunch there, I mean, wow, what an ab crunch on that. That moves fantastic. Not a great deal backwards, but I wouldn't have expected that with the trench coat on there. So really, really impressed with that forward ab crunch. You're going to be able to put him into some really interesting dynamic poses. Good T-pose on there, and there is twist at the top of the arm, double joint in the elbow, which is expected, and then there is twist and pivot in the wrists. So that's nice. Moving on to the waist, there is a really good twist in that waist there. So yeah, that looks great. And then if we look at the legs, the jacket gives a tiny bit of resistance to the top of the legs, but it does move a little bit. There is twist at the top of the leg. Again, a double joint in the knee, which is a little bit tighter on this one, but we do get it to work. And you can see that goes all the way back as well. So that works very effectively. And then we will also see that there is a twist in the calf. And again, there is up and down movement, as well as the same expected pivot on the ankles as well. So I'd say articulation slightly better or slightly less restrictive in the Morbius figure, but in general I do like the look of this Morbius figure a lot more. But let's take a quick look at the accessories that come with it. Slim pickings, unfortunately. You know, this is what Hasbro do with their double packs, isn't it? They put a premium on the price and then they give you nothing. So we're going to look at a set of fists for both figures. They're just clenched fists, fighting fists for both figures. So here is the Morbius one here. And I'm not a fan of that as well. Look at that plastic on there. Really rough. Don't like that to see that on these figures. So yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. And then we've got Doctor Strange's Magic X, which you'll notice is also just a repaint Comic Classics version of Doctor Strange as well. But we'll put that on Doctor Strange and you can see how that fits on. There's no real, I don't think, right or wrong way to put these on, to be honest. I think as long as they're sitting on his wrists in some way, that's pretty much it. But I do like the luminescent blue, or the translucent blue for this magic effect. Slightly different from the more fiery gold and yellow and orange that we saw in the Comic Classics version. But yeah, I mean, these work really effectively. I mean, you know, it's a nice colour and it stands out against the figure. So I think they look great when they're on. I'll just put that second one on there as well. And there you go. Yeah, I mean, it looks all right, doesn't he? Like I say, with Doctor Strange, it's a weird one. The figure looks nice. It's got nice colouring, and obviously it looks similar to how he did in the show, although the issue I have is that the Morbius face sculpt looks like it came straight out of the show, whereas the Doctor Strange one is just a reissue of a previously used face sculpt. That is not the face that we see on the TV show. So they've half-assed it there a little bit as well, and I'm not happy about that. And we'll pose them up a little bit. So let's put Doctor Strange into a nice pose and we'll have a quick look at him. So, I mean, we've got him meditating, hovering here, and I think it gives you a good idea of the variety of poses that you're going to be stuck with, which is you can do quite a bit with his lower half, but not really a lot with his top half. So, I mean, he kind of used his magic casting hands there to look a little bit like he's meditating. And I think it looks generally good. It gives you a good view of the inside of the cape and the texturing that they put on that. And, you know, the colouring is nice. I did find a little bit of bleeding from the yellow of the cape onto the red, so that's a bit disappointing. But in general, it looks fine. And we'll take a look at Morbius as well. We'll get him into a bit of a flying pose. So yeah, it's just a bit of a shame that his head doesn't move up anymore, but, you know, you work with what you've got. And I like I say, I do much prefer this figure. And considering the Morbiuses that we've seen in Marvel Legends prior to this, I like that this figure feels less gangly and skinny, and there's more beef to him. So I really do like that. And I like the blue touches on it as well. I always like that style from the 90s series, where we see a lot of reds against white and black in a lot of the Morbius designs. Really love this blue look. And as I say, I really like the hair as well. You know, it's such an odd one, this set. And if we just stick with Morbius for a minute or two, like I say, the face I don't love the especially the painting around the eyes and just the monotone white. You lose a lot of that sculpted detail on that white. The blue hair though is stunning. As I said before, the way that it's showing the different tufts of hair moving and sweeping across his head, I think it just looks awesome. I think the jacket looks awesome, and I love the colouring of the shirt and the denim. So yeah, there's a lot to like about this figure. It's not perfect by any means, but it's definitely the better of the two. I just think that for the price, this set leaves me wanting. And I haven't actually taken a gauge of what other people think. Maybe I'll have a look at some other reviews. I don't know if this is a general consensus that this is a good or a bad set. But considering it's $49.99, I mean, I guess there are more expensive sets about. You know, a lot of double packs from Hasbro can hit that $55 to $60 or £60 mark. Whereas this set, I guess, is a little bit on the cheaper side. But the Doctor Strange, I don't like. I think it just makes me frustrated because there's a lot of shortcuts that have been taken here. And I'm not going to sit here and say they should have put a fabric cape on it, even though they should. I mean, come on. I know that a lot of what Hasbro do are these plastic capes. But this one in particular, with the sort of pointed shoulder parts that fold down all the way to his ab crunch, even that's not the same as on the older Comic Classic Strange figure. At least that one, you were able to move his upper arms a little bit. This one, it just makes half his arms completely useless. It's such a weird choice, I think, to design it in that way. Even though I know that that's the design in the, you know, on the TV series, but come on, have a little bit of common sense and do it in a way where this figure's actually going to be playable and posable. And then the other shortcut that I really hate is the reuse of the head mold. You know, if you're going to pitch this as a 90s animated Strange and put a picture of him on the front of the box, at least make him look like it. The face is far broader on this sculpt than in the TV series. It's a lot more gaunt. You know, the head is a lot more oblong than it is square. So yeah, I'm really disappointed with the Strange figure. And I mean, I do like the magic effects, and I guess you could interchange them on the Comic Classics figure so that you can use the magic effects from either. But yeah, no, I've got to be honest, this is definitely not my favourite Marvel Legends of this year. Not even close. I just think it's incredibly disappointing. And if you're only buying this for Morbius, I'd probably say don't bother. Yeah, it's a shame, really. And like I say, I think it's only a shame because Hasbro have really not put effort into it. That's how it feels to me. It feels like a lack of effort, especially on the Strange. They've got a nice Morbius figure and they've thought we can team him up with another character, a character that I don't think they ever shared screen time in. I mean, I'm thinking back to the show. I don't remember them ever sharing screen time on the show. Maybe I'm wrong. But there you go, really. Drop in the comments and let me know what you think. But yeah, it's not a high mark from me. I tell you, it's a little bit of a shame. Pop a like on the video if you've enjoyed the video as well. It's hugely helpful to me. And please also consider subscribing to the channel for future reviews and news. Our community would love to have you here, so please come and join us. And if Marvel Legends figures interest you, why not check out this review next? Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you all take care. Bye bye now.